Hey everyone, Professor August here, and today I will be talking about these three books that are on my to-read list for January 2025. Today is towards the end of December 2024, so we're in the middle of the holiday season. It is freezing outside in the Bay Area. It's rainy and foggy, and I kind of love it because I get to sit inside with a nice little blanket and a good book and have my coffee and read. It is a nice way to spend the holidays. So let's get into it. The first book on my to-read list for January 2025 is The Murder of Mr. Ma by S.J. Rozan and John Shen Ni. I'm super happy to have this book and to read it because I didn't realize that this is part of a series. I'm lucky to already have the advanced copy of the second installment of this book. So I'll review that one later in the year, in probably March or April when the book comes out. But this first one, The Murder of Mr. Ma, is really intriguing because it has two historical characters or two historical people who are um, actual human beings who lived in China, and they have been placed in 1923 in London. Um, I have heard of these people because I live with a historian of China. So I'm just going to go hunt him down real quick and see if he can tell me about these two characters, and then I'll get back to it. Hey, Lester,
Hmm.
you're a historian of China, right?
Yeah.
So do you know things about Chinese history?
Um. Supposedly.
Good. Can you tell me about the two characters that are in this book?
Um. Okay. So the first character is apparently Di Renjie. He was one of the most important ministers who worked for Wu Zetian, the only female emperor in Chinese history. Um. So I guess for two things. One is that he actually recommended a lot of the other ministers who worked for the emperor, female empress. Many of them actually eventually orchestrated her downfall. But the second thing was that he was a very famous judge and a sort of criminologist, famous for investigating crimes and things like that. Although that would make a very odd pairing with the second character here, Lao She, because Dianjie lived in the seventh century, whereas Lao She was an early 20th century Chinese author. I guess he was born in 1899 and died during the Cultural Revolution. He was mostly known for writing novels that kind of reflected the general society of China as it experienced all kinds of upheavals and turmoils in the 20th century. I guess my favorite actually is this character named Xiangzi, one of his really, I would suppose, best read, best known were novels, where to translate into modern American, Xiangzi was a Uber driver whose biggest dream is to actually own his own car. But the entire novel was just a tragic story of this person who was so optimistic, and his optimism only shed dark light on the overall ideology of pulling yourself up by the bootstraps. So sad.
So I'm really excited to actually read this because the two characters, Direnjie and Lao She, are real people just narrativized and fictionalized for this book, and they kind of are the Sherlock Holmes and Watson, just like the Chinese version. And so I love crime stories. I can't wait to read this. The two authors are really interesting also. I've read some of S.J. Rosen's work before, especially her short stories, and John Nee is from Marvel and DC Comics, so of course it makes sense that there's going to be multiple versions or installments of this book because anybody who works for DC or Marvel obviously has the capacity to come up with these long, arching narratives that span place and time. So I'm really excited to see how the story of these two characters unfolds over a multiple series of books. So the second novel that's on my to read list is Catherine Min's The Fetishist, and this was recommended to me by a friend who works at Green Apple Books in San Francisco. And of course, when a bookseller tells you to read something, you do it because they know what they're talking about. So I was excited to get this book and read around it. I did not know much about the book. I'd heard of it a few years ago and never really picked it up, but it's been recommended a few times, so of course now I have to read it. The author, Catherine Min, died before the book was published, and it was her daughter who brought it to life for us. And it really does seem like something that would normally have been on my to read list anyways, because it deals with race and ethnicity and belonging in the United States. The story follows Kyoko, who is really ticked off at the character named Daniel, who apparently sort of like chased Kyoko's mom and then dropped her at some point. So Daniel is a white guy who fetishizes Asian women, hence the name, The Fetishist. So I'm excited to read this and see how it unfolds. And this really does seem like something I might have to assign for one of my upcoming literature courses in a future semester. So we'll see how that goes. The last book that I'll be looking at for January is Disorientation by Elaine Chou. This I have read this book at least 3 times already. It is one of my favorite books that I've read in the last few years, and I'm rereading it because I've assigned it for next semester in my literature course, and of course I want to just recall everything that I've read and have it refreshed in my mind. I kind of love, I mean, I just love this novel. It follows this character named Ingrid Yang, and Ingrid is a graduate student. It is so familiar to my life because I spent 10 years in graduate school in Chicago, and the book is formatted as fall quarter, winter quarter, spring quarter. So you get sort of a period of Ingrid Yang's life where she's writing her dissertation on this Chinese poet named Hsieh, and she figures out really early in the book that this Chinese poet isn't actually real. It's somebody posing as a Chinese poet. So there's a twist early in the book, and it's the repercussions and ramifications of that reveal early in the book that we get throughout the rest of the novel. Ingrid is Asian American. She's struggling with her Asianness, and she sees her peers who are much more Asian than she is, so they're like more authentic than she is. And so it brings up questions of, well, how is one supposed to be Asian American? How is one to behave as an Asian American? And so I really love the way that the book is laid out because it brings up a lot of questions that we're able to discuss in courses and really just help shape our own identities and the struggles that we have. So I love this book. I can't wait to read it again and then review it. It's such a good satire. I just love this book. So those are the 3 books I'm going to be looking at this January. I'm really excited. Our semester also starts on January 2nd, so I'm running out of time. I mean, this short holiday break was so not enough for me. But when the semester starts, I'll be taking time out of my day just to relax a little bit, as everybody should, and do some self-care. And part of my self-care process is to sit down with a nice little book. So I will catch you guys in the next video. Bye.
All right, guys, thanks so much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe below. Catch you in the next video.